Shalom, shalom, beloved viewers and subscribers. We are the Natsurim of YaHUaH, here again with another lesson in our Learning Abryth or Hebrew series. We want to assist those who feel a little bit confused about Ivri, Abryth, Abri, Ivri, beginning with an I, would have been a change or a modernized way of saying the word Hebrew. So that came after the introduction of I's and V's into other language forms. Abryth, TH, at the end, is the noun of the word. Abri, without the TH, is the adjective form. So the name of the language is Abryth with the TH. However, in describing the people, if you are saying they are Hebrew people, then you would say Abri without the TH. So Abri people speaking the language called Abryth. So the description is Abri. The noun is Abryth. Right? But we're now here with lesson 8, and we're so excited, as usual, when we're able to help others to understand this beautiful language of creation. Of course, it's important to understand the letter roots of any language that you aim to learn in order to have a greater understanding of what was being said or what was meant. So we, in this series, will first go through the letter roots. Thereafter, we will look at other roots such as parent roots and child roots. We look at prefixes and suffixes, and we look at how the language takes on its various forms, the transitions of the language. Some may say, how do you know the language? How do you know when it is the correct versus incorrect thing? We would have indicated this in our first 2 presentations, how the language and the original scripts found would have been compared to other Shemitic writings and languages, which were also found in various tablets of stone. And so that is how they are able to determine the interpretation of a number of the writings, as well as there are still people today, for example, the Samaritans, who would have been using the Paleo language coming down, the Paleo-Phoenician or Shemitic language through the generations, as they would not have been in Babylonian captivity. And of course, the language began to change following Babylonian captivity. But let's get into this this lesson. So, as was stated before, we're going through the letter roots, and we're looking at Abryth AlaphBat. And so it is the AlaphBat of the language Hebrew. We do not say alphabet because alphabet is the Greek description of the grouping of letters in the language matching the alpha and the beta. But let's get a little more information and a recap for those who would have been following from the previous lessons. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. We are very glad you are here with us.
The groups of letters that form the words of a particular language are usually called by the first two letters. It is technically incorrect to call the Abryth group of letters the alphabet because the first two letters of the Abryth are the Aleph and the Bat. Therefore, we say AlaphBat. The first two letters of the Greek grouping are the alpha and the beta. Therefore, those as well as the Latin and today's English groups are called alphabet.
The following letters were not part of the Abryth or Hebrew AlaphBat. The first four letters are not represented in the Abryth nor the Greek list of letters, and these are F, J, W, and V. The letters J and W were not represented in the Abryth, Greek, nor Latin group of letters. These made their appearance when English came to be. And of course, the English group of letters took their form from their parent, which is the Roman Latin group of letters. Then we also have E, I, and O. These were not represented in the original Paleo-Phoenician Abryth language. However, they began to appear following the introduction of vowel points. Of course, that meant changing the form of various words, and that has also contributed to changes even in the interpretation of some words. And so we needed persons to understand that these particular letters on your screen were not originally represented. When we say represented, the interpretation of the Paleo would not have reflected these letters. They were not letters in existence at all until you had introductions of other languages such as Latin and English, etc.
Ancient Hebrew letters have four characteristics. 1. Form. 2. Name. 3. Meaning. 4. Sound.
And these characteristics we would have discussed in our first lesson.
Let's begin.
So let us remind ourselves of the letters contained in the Abryth language. There are 22 letters. They are Aleph, Bat, Gam, Dal, Ha, U, Zan, Chat, Tat, Ya, Kaf, Lam, Mam, Nun, Samak, Ayan, Pa, Sad, Kuf, Rash, Shan, Tau. And of course, we also attempted to do an AlaphBat shir or song so that it would help persons who may find it easier to recall things through music. When you sing along, it may be retained much easier. These are, of course, the letter roots. You will see some variations to some of these letters. So, for example, you may see Gamal or Dalat or Ain. You may see Lamad, but those come from the roots, parent roots of these letters that are displayed here. But in today's lesson, or in this lesson, we're looking at the letter Zan. And of course, this is the 7th letter in the listing of letters in the Abryth language. So the letter Zan, as I indicated, is the 7th letter in the Paleo-Abryth AlaphBat. And this letter is equated with the letter Z that some of us, or most of us, may know in the English language. This letter, of course, is one of the few letters that have not been tarnished or changed or impacted by the evolution of languages over time. It has retained its sound. The form is similar to the original form. However, this letter was not changed to another letter in various words. Just as we would have the transition of the Ya or Yod, as some know it, that would have been changed to I in some words and J in some words. This letter is one of the few that would not have been impacted by by such evolution. So the letter has various meanings. As we would have been saying, different words and letters may take on various meanings depending on how it was applied to various activities in those times, what was seen, what was experienced, whatever was the purpose of a particular item. And so that would be associated with the meaning. So the item associated with this letter means weapon, or cut off, or sickle, or harvest, or food, or feed, or axe. Because the weapon, of course, would be used, or the tool would be used to assist with harvesting food for feeding the family. And so this particular tool or weapon, as it could be used as well, takes on those meanings. So the Zan, of course, would mean that which the weapon was used for. The Greeks, of course, adopted this letter and it became the zeta in Greek. Now, the pictograph used to represent this letter or word is an axe or a mattock, or a weapon that was used in agriculture, as we would have indicated just now. or as I would have indicated just now. And so whilst working in the fields, this instrument, and we attempted to display it here, looks similar to the modern pickaxe or mattock. It has a long handle. It would also have been similar to an axe with a horizontal adze, or a picker. So we have looked at some of the meanings of this letter, and you will see based on how the letters are formed, how they may have been formed based on the shape of this, of the various things they represent. So in this case, we will see how this letter Zan may have taken on the shape of the instrument. Of course, the modern name for this letter is Zayin, which was, of course, from the original parent root, Zan. So we take a look at the correlation between letter and various instruments. So this would have been an ancient, it looks like an axe, two-sided, or an axe with two blades. We can see based on the shape of this particular instrument, if you look at our comparison with the letter to the lower part of the screen, you see how it sort of shapes like the letter. Or even if we compare it to the middle script, you can see it has that eye-looking shape, I suppose. Let's look at another tool. This is another ancient tool. We can see how the top of that sort of looks like one of the sections of the letter. Here's the top of a mattock, and we can see how the opening of it may have looked similar to, one of the sides of the pictograph of the original letter or script. Here we have an axe, and we can clearly see how the axe would have more so looked like the modern version of this this letter, and we have attempted to do the comparison there. So we can see how, look at that, looking at those two fork-like prongs or protrusions, if you may, that look similar to the prongs of the writing of the letter, or the form of the letter. Very similar. Very similar. So the early Hebrew form of the letter looked like that which we have highlighted. And this, of course, evolved into the middle script. The middle script was used to form or influence the Greek zeta or zeta. And this became, of course, the Roman Latin letter Z, which also became the English letter Z. Then we have the late script following the middle script. And of course, that is used to represent the numeral 7. And of course, this is the 7th letter of the Abryth AlaphBat. And we would have stated this throughout various lessons, and I'll state it again, that the letters do not only represent words, but they also have numeric values assigned to them. And of course, following the late script, we have the modern script, which most persons will see on the internet. If you are looking for words in Hebrew, you will see the modern Aramaic looking version. And we can see how, again, that looks like the shape of the axe. So let us get into our script for this lesson. We've repeated a script from a previous lesson, scripture. And so you will observe that the zan is reflected in this particular script. We repeated it because we wanted the zan. And you'll observe that that is actually the first letter in this script. Let's see who can remember or recall what script is reflected here. So the first word is zakur, zakur. And that has the zan, it has the kaf, it has the u, and the rash. And this is the word remember or mention. I sort of hinted at it when I said those who can remember what this script is. And so zakor means remember or mention. What are we to remember or mention? The next word is af, af. And wherever we see af, it's emphasizing something that is important. So af, what is important? The next word is yum. So zakur af yum. What are we to remember? It's a day. Now we mostly say the word yum, but for those who do not understand what yum is, it's day. So in various lessons, when you hear us speaking of yum or yumim, yumim speaks of days. So remember day, and we have to pause to remind persons this is not English language, and so it won't follow the same subject verb agreement and having all the particular sentence structures as the English language. That's not how they would have spoken in those times. So hashabat is the next phrase or word. So ha, and we notice the ha, shan, bat, thou. Hashabat. And ha means the, and Shabbat, of course, speaks to the seventh or the covenant. And so remember day the Shabbat. Zakurath yum hashabbat. What is this phrase or word? Lakadash ah. Lukadash, sorry, Lukadash u, said ah. Lukadash u. And of course, that's the lam, the kof, the dal, shan, and u. What word is this? To dedicate it. To dedicate it. So remember or mention day, the Shabbat, to dedicate it. Zakur ath yum hashabbat lakadashu. And this script, as someone may have guessed, is Shemut or Exodus 20, verse 8. And this script says, remember the Shabbat to keep it dedicated. This also means, the Kadashu also means to separate it. So we keep it separated. And of course, because it is important, as we saw, Yom, so this important day of emphasis, it's a covenant day, Shabbat, 7, covenant. So we must keep it separated. It must not be treated in the same way as the other Yumim of the Shabua or the week. We placed another treat in this lesson, so we have another script for this lesson. And of course, we want to see those who may be able to tell what is written here. We would have somewhat separated the words, but for those who are new to the presentations, usually when the scripts are found, whether on stone or on scrolls, you do not see the clear separation of words and sentences and paragraphs as you know it in English. It would be important to understand the root, letter root context, as well as the context of what was happening or where it was located, what may have been referred to, as well as the comparison of these letters to other ancient scripts that were found. And so so in that case, you would not have seen the separation of the words. There would have been a way in which you read them based on your understanding of how letters are placed together to form words based on the meaning of the roots. So the first word in this script is the word kabad, kabad, or kabud, kabad. And this means greatly or heavily honor or promote or esteem. So what or who are we being asked to greatly honor or to heavily honor or to greatly esteem or to heavily esteem? Let's look at the next word. And this word is abik. Some may say abiak. This is the word or phrase, your father. So kabad abik, greatly honor your father. And someone may be saying, I know what that script is. Let's continue. The next word is uamak, uamak. And yes, you may have guessed it, and your mother. You will notice the word abik has ab in there. You will notice the word or the phrase uamak has am or ama in there. U meaning and. And of course, shalak speaks to your. So the root word would have been represented. So you have abik or amak. So kabad abik uamak. Greatly honor your father and your mother. What's the next word? Yumim. And remember from the previous script, what did yum mean? For those who got it correct, yes. Yum means day. Yumim is the plural form, meaning days. So, kabad abik uamak yumim. And this is greatly or heavily honor your father and your mother. Days. Let's continue. What's the next word? Arak. Arak. And this means prolong or long or lengthen. So kabad abik uamak yumim arak. means greatly honor your father and your mother days long, or days prolong, or days lengthen. So it would not have all the necessary conjunctions, that are represented in English language. And of course, this, the final word is actually Adama. And this word Adama means land, earth, or ground. So for those who guessed the scripture, Shamut, or Exodus 20 verse 12, Kabad abik uamak yumim arak Adama. Greatly honor your father and your mother. Days prolong, earth or land. And in English, honor or greatly honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long on the land. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So these were our scripts. And of course, these are the sources for the study on the letter Zan. And we are always so grateful when you join us for these presentations. Looking forward to lesson 9, as we will look at the next letter in the list of letters of the AlaphBat, and that, of course, will be the Chat.
We are the Nazarene of YaHUaH.
For us we say, Achad,
Ahabah. One love.
thank all of you and all the family, most high, for doing So remember to smash that like button
Subscribe to the channel
and hit that notification bell so that you will be every time we upload.